I'm sure you've heard of the color run before, or maybe color wars, where you throw this colored flower looking powder at friends and you get super covered and messy. What you didn't know, and this is actually a full out festival in India called Holi. People spend the day throwing colored powder all over, in each other's faces, throwing colored water balloons at each other, having parties, and dancing under water sprinklers. Hey everyone, I'm Steph Gergis, Mrs. Gergis in the classroom, and today we are traveling over to the Indian subcontinent. First things first, when we chat about India, it's not the India we know today. It is the region that includes India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka. It actually wasn't until 1947 that India became the India we know today. This is why it's important that we learn about yesterday to understand today. The first agricultural civilization developed along the Indus River Valley in modern-day Pakistan and in northern parts of India. However, the great mystery is what happened to the people of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, as we can't read their writing today and they just disappeared. I'm not guessing it was because of aliens. Sorry, History Channel. New people eventually migrated to the area, the Indo-European people group, and established small regional kingdoms all across South Asia. There were frequent conflicts between them, but they did have one commonality, which was this religion or caste system, because of this series of books called the Vedas. They are the foundation for modern-day Hindu beliefs. You can check out one of my other videos about Hinduism for more in-depth study on that. But the caste system divides Hindus into four major categories. You had your Brahmins, who were like your priests, your Kshatriyas, which are your warriors or protectors, your Vaishyas, who are your producer or makers of good, and then your Shudras, who are your farmers or agricultural workers. These four Varnas or castes are all listed in the Rig Veda, and you are born into one of those certain classes. The class that you may have heard of as the untouchables or the Dalits come later in history, and they are people who are seen as unclean because they do unclean jobs, like working with dead bodies. There is some pushback whether this type of social order is really part of Hinduism or was developed to create a strict social order where people live contently in their born into class. I can't say for sure. Today, while discrimination based on caste is illegal, to deny that it happens would be like denying discrimination based on race doesn't happen in the United States. This is why learning about the past helps us understand today. Now, India moved from a decentralized kingdom into a unified empire under Chandragupta Maurya, who forms the Mauryan Empire. He ruled from 321 to 297 BCE and had this aggressive expansion policy. Remember the satrap system from Persia? Well, after Alexander the Great conquered both the old Greek and Persian empires, he adopted the Persian system of organization and used satraps or governors over these conquered lands. It was Alexander's satrap that Chandragupta Maurya conquered to expand the Mauryan Empire towards modern-day Afghanistan and Pakistan. Just so you have a feel of where we are chronologically in history. Chandragupta Maurya created harsh but clear laws, and then also had a system where he divided up the empire and put governors over different provinces. Fast forward to his death, and then on to his grandson, who continued in his footsteps. He too was aggressive and expansionist. He was known as Ashoka the Fierce. He had a really terrible temper. He killed 500 of his government workers, and even had a torture chamber. But Ashoka had this defining moment in his life where before and after would never be the same. It changed everything. After a super bloody conquest of the kingdom of Kalinga on the eastern part of the Indian subcontinent, Ashoka felt profound sorrow and regret for all of his killings. He then converts to Buddhism and stopped conquering. He chose to lead by moral example instead of military strength. The question we ask ourselves, Was the bloodbath of Kalinga that life-changing for him? It very much could have been. Other historians question the authenticity of his conversion and say, perhaps he had conquered the extent of India that he wanted and now wanted peace? And what better way to control the people than choosing a peaceful religion to unify them? We will never know. Ashoka went on to build this great stupa and monuments all across his empire called Ashoka's edicts. They were official messages of peace and tranquility all throughout the empire. They were on walls and on rocks and on tall pillars. They focused on Buddhist values, on general welfare, justice, security. And as I've said before, to legitimize your rule, what do? You build big stuff. Ashoka died and the Mauryan Empire declined and eventually collapsed, but it's not like there was total anarchy or no rule. India just went back to decentralized rule and regional kingdoms instead of one big overarching empire on the subcontinent. The biggest unifier in Indian history seems to be more of a cultural unifier, as the people in India at this time were Hindu. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to subscribe below to get more helpful content about world history as we continue to learn about yesterday, to understand today, and help write a better tomorrow. Thanks for watching.